there are 2 steps for you to follow to easily absorb new information. Master these 2 steps and you will become a proud erudite of the 21st century. Step 1. Turn that new information into a substitute word or phrase that you can make into a meaningful image. Remember, images and movie clips are the language of your brain. Your dreams are in the form of images and movie clips. No one dreams totally in words. And when you think about an object, such as your car or your house, you see an image, not the word car or house. So, to remember any new information, we first must turn that information into a substitute word or phrase that we can then see as an image that is memorable. Our first state is Alabama, and the capital is Montgomery. Now, Alabama is just a word, an abstract concept. It doesn't really mean anything in and of itself. If you can't immediately make that word into a meaningful image, then the simple idea is to break that word down into syllables and work with those syllables. For Alabama, that is Al-a-bam-a. Now my substitute phrase for Alabama is Al is bamming. There's my image. I can see a man named Al, and he is bamming or banging on something. My substitute phrase for Montgomery is Mount of Gum. Again, I can easily visualize a mountain of gum. Now, do you see how this works? After just a bit of practice, you will start to automatically convert abstract words into meaningful phrases which you can visualize as images. Step 2. Connect or associate our substitute phrases with a location. Remember, location is one of the key ingredients to building a strong, trained memory. In our case, we want to connect the state to the peg word corresponding to its numerical place in our list. Since Alabama is the first state, we want to connect it to our peg word for number 1, which is always tie. See a man named Al stuck waist high in a mount of gum. He is frustrated and swinging his bright red tie to remind us that this is the first item in our list. And he's bamming or banging on the mount of gum, trying to escape. You see, your brain will latch on to this ridiculous image because it is ridiculous and therefore memorable. Whenever you think of Alabama, that abstract word will remind you that Al is bamming. And the red tie, the big bright red tie that he's turned into a mallet, will remind you that this is the first position in the list of states. The mount of gum is good enough to remind you that the capital of Alabama is Montgomery. These little ridiculous reminders will easily and forever glue Alabama to the first position in this list. Now, let's use this 2-step concept to look at the rest of this list. Number 2 is Alaska, and the capital is Juneau. Your substitute phrase for Alaska is I'll ask her. Alaska, I'll ask her. And for Juneau, it is you know. Juneau, you know. You see, it's close enough to give your brain a hint as to what the actual thing is that you want to remember. All your brain needs is a hint. Now, since our peg word for the second location in any list is Noah, here is your connected image. See an old man in a white beard, Noah, who wants to know what the capital of Alaska is. He is standing next to an Alaskan and thinks to himself, well, I'll ask her. He asks, what is the capital of Alaska? Her response, don't you know? Again, that silly picture is good enough for your brain to remind you that Alaska, Alaska, is connected with Noah, our peg word for number 2, and that the capital is in fact Juneau. Well, didn't you know? Number 3 is Arizona. The capital is Phoenix. Your substitute word for Arizona is air zone. Now, note that Phoenix is one of those words that is already meaningful. Phoenix can be represented by a giant fiery bird. So, let's make use of that image. Since our peg word for the number 3 is Ma, here is the connected image. See your Ma as a fighter pilot. She's in the air zone, locked in a great battle with a giant fiery phoenix from outer space. Use all of your senses here. Can you hear the bullets? Can you hear the phoenix? How about the fire? Can you feel the fire? Your Ma is Earth's last defender, and she will not fail. Number 4 is Arkansas. The capital is Little Rock. Your substitute phrase for Arkansas is ark and saw. Note again that Little Rock is a phrase that we can already visualize, just like Phoenix. Now, our peg word for 4 is rye. So here is the connected image. See a giant loaf of rye bread, which has been carved into a large archway, arc. Now, the man that did this is sawing big rocks into little rocks. See, this silly image has all the elements we need to connect Arkansas, ark and saw, and its capital, Little Rock, to the number 4, which is rye. Number 5 is California, and the capital is Sacramento. Your substitute phrase for California is call a fawn, yeah. And for Sacramento, it is sack of Mentos. Have you already formed an image in your mind? Okay, see Muhammad Ali in the woods calling a fawn, which comes to him. He is amazed and exclaims, yeah! He then offers the fawn a treat from his sack of Mentos. There you have the peg word connected to the state and its capital, all in one crazy image. At this point, I'd like to point out that you will be able to come up with connected images far faster than it takes me to explain each one. As your imagination grows and gets stronger, you will easily come up with substitute words and phrases and associated images for any new piece of information. So, from now on, I won't spend as much time talking about the details of the connections. Your brain will get it. You will have the hooks, and you will be able to retrieve the information at will. Okay, let's move on to the next states. Number 6 is Colorado. The capital is Denver. Now, Colorado is actually a Spanish word pronounced Colorado, which literally means colored, and in this case, red. Easy enough. For Denver, the substitute words are den and fur. See a woman wearing bright red stilettos, red for Colorado, and the shoes for number 6. She is sitting in her den wearing a large fur coat. Fur, Denver. Easy enough, right? Number 7 is Connecticut. The capital is Hartford. The substitute word for Connecticut is connect-a-cut. And for Hartford, it is Hard-ford. See a cow with large band-aids on its side, indicating it has a cut. That cut is connected to a hard ford, and he is pulling it. Connect-a-cut, Connecticut. Hard-ford reminds us of Hartford. Number 8 is Delaware, and the capital is Dover. The substitute word for Delaware is dinnerware, and for Dover, it is diver. See many large plates, dinnerware, clinging to ivy on a wall. At the top of the wall is a diver doing a swan dive into water. Crazy image. Dinnerware reminds us of Delaware, and the diver reminds us of Dover. Number 9 is Florida, and the capital is Tallahassee. The substitute phrase for Florida is flowered, and for Tallahassee, it is tall grassy. See a bee, number 9, buzzing through the tall grassy on his way to getting flowered. Can you hear the bee? Smell the flower and hear the grass blowing in the wind. Number 10 is Georgia, and the capital is Atlanta. The substitute word for Georgia is gorgeous, and for Atlanta, it is Atlantis. See a woman with gorgeous toes. Toes is the peg word for 10, remember? She's sitting in a pool at the Atlantis Resort. See the sign. Her toes are so gorgeous that the people around her can't stop staring, and she is causing a ruckus. Now this is the last image. Really use all of your senses. So these are the first 10 states in alphabetical order. If you have followed along with me, noted the substitute phrases and words, and saw each of the connected images in your mind, then prepare to amaze yourself. I am betting that each of the first 10 states has been locked into its corresponding peg word in your now trained memory. Now, to prove this point, I want you to say the state and the capital that match each number that I am going to say. See the peg word, then that should conjure up the appropriate image in your mind, which will give you all the information you need. As a side note, this is not a test of memory, it is a test of imagination. Number 1, tie is, now say the state and the capital. Number 2, Noah is, where was Noah and what question was Noah asking? Number 3, Ma is. Number 4, Rai is. Number 5, Ali is. Number 6, Shoe is. Number 7, Cow is. I'm sure you immediately saw the band-aids on the cow. Number 8, Ivy is. Number 9, Bee is. Number 10, Toes is. Remember how her gorgeous toes caused quite a stir? Where was she? Amazed? Okay, now to further test your mind, try this. Florida is number. California is number. Number 6 is. Number 2 is. Georgia is number. Number 4 is. Delaware is number. The capital of California is. I'm sure you see Ali feeding the fawn from his sack of Mentos, right? Which reminds us of Sacramento. Yes. Connecticut is number. Number 3 is. Remember your ma was fighting in the air zone, right? Which reminds us of Arizona. Yes. Number 1 is. The capital of Delaware is. What was the guy doing at the top of the ivy wall? Diving, of course. So the capital is Dover. Yes. Congratulations. So how did you do? If you know your peg words well, then I bet you had no problems. You just learned the first 10 states in order and then retrieved them in and out of order. And we only went over each state once, which attached it to the corresponding peg word and locked it into your memory. We did not use rote memory. We used imagination. You have trained your brain to store and retrieve information like a computer. In fact, you are far more powerful than any computer, as you will find out, because you possess a powerful tool that no computer has: human imagination. Are you excited? You should be, because here's the truth. If you can do this with 10 items, then you can do it with 20, 30, or 100. There is no limit. All you have to do is learn peg words for each number. And consider this: you now have the power to easily and quickly absorb any new information. Using the same technique, you can learn the order of all the presidents of the United States, or the periodic table of elements, or every winner in order of the Academy Award, or the contents of an important presentation, and much, much more. And guess what? You can use the same peg words over and over for each list. Your brain actually becomes more efficient at organizing information as you learn and practice. Now, here's a memory tip. You have stored these items in your short-term memory. To put this in long-term memory, do the following. Review your list immediately. Well, we just did that. Review it again in 24 hours. Then review it again a week later. And then again after about a month. At that point, it is absolutely locked into long-term memory. Now, let's move on and learn peg words for numbers 11 through 20. Then, we will learn the corresponding states and their capitals.